We're here on the grid, ready for the first of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Super Series races, and it's going to be an interesting battle as we've got these two guys at the front of the grid, Josh Jackson and Jake Bailey. Let's go and talk to a couple of the guys further back on the grid as well. Let's have a word with Richard Breland, who's going to be starting from third position on the grid. Richard, second row of the grid for the first race of the weekend. That's not too bad.
No, very pleased with that. I'm a little bit off the pace compared to these two guys, but you know, we'll give it our best shot.
The good thing about Snetterton is using the draft and the slipstream, you won't have too much trouble getting onto their tails.
Well, I hope not. No, I need a good start, and then if I can chase them around for the first lap and have a go at them down the back straight.
Okay, well, good luck, and hopefully we'll talk to you after.
Thank you very much.
Really exciting battle in the Super Series. Obviously, a few of these drivers are using this as extra track time and experience of getting used to their cars. I think we've just about got time for one more. Let's see if we can have a quick word with Sam Bailey before he goes out onto the circuit. Sam, looks like things could go very interesting from you from the third row.
They could, absolutely. I've got my own race to have, obviously, and then I've got my son on in grid too. So I'm sort of have that battle of looking at my own race and seeing what the boys up to.
So where's going to be the advantage maker here at Snetterton? Where can you make up time?
I think I'm quite good through Hamilton in that section.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll see you make up progress. Good work. So, as we get ourselves ready for the grid then, only time to hand over to our race commentator, Andy McEwan. I'm so jealous, mate. This is going to be a cracker.
Well, thank you very much, Jake. It is going to be an interesting trio of races here, I reckon, at Silverstone. Here's how they line up for race one. Josh Jackson and Jake Bailey, the dominant forces from Brands Hatch last time out, are on row one together, ahead of Richard Breland and Jeremy Crook. Then Sam Bailey and Simon Fleet, ahead of Patrick Collins and Matt Pitford. Simon Orange and George Grant are on row five, ahead of Ray Worley, making his first appearance of the year, and Simon Woods. Then Russ Lindsay and Jim Hart. Liz Walton makes her debut, with James Kell excluded from qualifying for being underweight. Well, it is a beautifully mild and sunny day here at Snetterton. We are on the full 300 circuit, ahead of the first of three 20-minute encounters for the Mazda MX-5 Super Series. On board briefly there with Matt Pitford, also an onboard camera here with Patrick Collins, from whom we follow the start. The lights go out and we are away and racing. James Kell starting with a 10-second delay. That was the car that didn't move at the back of the field, but once again there we look rearwards from Matt Pitford's car at the front of the field though. It's very close indeed with Jackson on the inside and Bailey on the outside. Who got through turn one ahead? It is Bailey. So Jake Bailey gets the early race lead, and I think he's brought Jeremy Crook through with him. On board here with Patrick Collins, he's got cars to the left, cars to the right. Charging around the outside there was Simon Fleet, the blue car with the pink wheels, as they fan out 2 and 3 abreast in towards the Wilson hairpin for the first time. George Grant there in the Clapham North car, dicing away with Russ Lindsay in the 17, and we're on board briefly there with Simon Woods looking backwards towards the tail end of the field, down towards the left-hander at Palmer's then, and then in towards the next of the several good overtaking opportunities on this circuit, the left-hand hairpin at Agostini. And trying now to begin the fight back is pole sitter Josh Jackson, looking to the inside there of Jeremy Crook for second place. Did he make that one stick? We'll have to pick them up on the exit of the corner to find out. They are still side by side, I think, possibly on the run down towards the quick left-hand kink at Hamilton's. Simon Woods here on board with him. That's Jim Hart behind in the very pretty white and red number 27 car. Through that left-hander at Hamilton's. Jackson continues to be on the attack, but also trying to defend from Richard Breland as they go. Through the deceptively quick left-hander, but it's over the crest of the hill, so the car goes light and wants to run out to the edge of the track. That's why we see quite a few wayward moments on the exit of that corner. Down into the left-hander in Agostini. And this little group of cars getting bigger and bigger, actually, because the 101 car there of Simon Woods and Ray Worley are getting closer. I don't think they've quite got time to make it a 5-way scrap, but they are getting closer as the 3 cars in front start to trip over each other. Back through the left at Hamilton's, into the right at Palmer's. Matt Pickford looking for another solid top 10 result as he builds up the start of his season. Has he got time, has he got speed to find a way back ahead of Russ Lindsay? They were both, again, a bit tail-happy coming through the right-hander of Williams onto the Bentley straight. Up ahead of them, look, Patrick Collins and Simon Orange are running almost side by side as Simon tries that outside-inside move at Brundle and Nelson. It doesn't quite work, though. And so Patrick Collins, I think, is going to be able to hang on as they make their way down into the quick right-handers at Bomb Hole and Coram. Simon Orange unlikely to find a way through either of those turns. Back with Matt Pitford as he heads through the bomb hole again. And around. In fact, Simon Orange is trying to get up the inside here down towards the final turn. That becomes the outside line for the final turn. Oh no! George Grant and Russ Lindsay have come together at the right-hander at Coram. So drama there late in the going for George Grant and Russ Lindsay. I don't know what happened there. We only saw that from on board with Matt Pickford, but Matt has been able to gain 2 places out of that one. Strangely, we are seeing the last lap board again being shown to the drivers, so we are going to get another lap out of this one by the looks of it. So one more chance maybe for a few more positions to change. More a motorsport car there. Ray Worley works his way through. Heads down towards the right-hander at Wilson. These are the race leaders though, and as you can see, Josh Jackson has, throughout the last third of this race, just been able to eke out an advantage over Jake Bailey. Good racing though between the two of them earlier on, and Jake did well to hang on to Jackson. I don't know whether maybe Jake's had a bit of a moment somewhere and run out a bit wide or locked up, or perhaps just tried to look after the tyres towards the end of the race. But either way, it looks as though Josh Jackson is going to be able to use that to his advantage to pull away and win the race. It's been not quite as simple as he might have liked though, after getting boxed out and down to third position at the first corner. Josh Jackson had to pick his way back through, but for the third time in 4 races in 2018, it is going to be a checkered flag and race victory in the Mazda MX-5 Super Series for Josh Jackson. Second place goes the way of Jake Bailey. That's the third time that he's finished in second place, but Sam Bailey gets his first podium of the year. Richard Breland is 4th and Jeremy Crook is 5th, ahead of Simon Fleet and Patrick Collins. Then Simon Orange, Matt Pickford and Simon Woods round out the top 10. Ray Worley is next, ahead of Russ Lindsay. George Grant, they recovered after their spin towards the end. Then Jim Hartley's Walton and James Kellan on finisher.
Well, Josh, this is a really good start to the season now, having had the 2 wins from Brands and now a third one here. Talk us through the race. You just kind of belted after one point.
Yeah, it was. I got a bit of a bad start, I don't know, falling asleep, I don't know. It was a bit weird, but no, we made up, got behind Jake, and then, yeah, it just wasn't ending very well in the middle of the part of the race, but yeah, we started to pull away after that.
Well, a Bailey family podium for second and third place. Jake, first of all, in second. It was a tough battle with you and Josh again. Just got away from you in the closing stages, though.
Yeah, it was a tough battle. I thought I had the break at the start of the race, but it turns out you reeled me in and then broke away from me, but I get my best.
And obviously there's good ground to work on tomorrow, because obviously you know where to make the advantages come in the morning. Is there going to be more from you, perhaps from more power?
I hope so. Fingers crossed. No, I owe it to Blink Motorsport. They've done a great job at setting the car and making sure I'm fast as I can be. So I owe it to them.
Fantastic. A very proud dad beside you as well in third position. It's quite nice to see you both on the podium at the same time.
I'm reeling him in. The old boy's getting a bit more pace in him yet. I'll be reeling him in over the rest of the season, hopefully.
You want to get some practice in on the PlayStation. Eventually you'll be better than him.
I need a lot of practice, yeah.
Time to get the second race underway. Jackson versus Bailey, take 2. It's going to be a frenetic race. There was a threat of rain coming into this one. It looks as though that's going to not materialise. So great race action as they go round on the green flag lap, straight over to Andy McEwan for the grid.
Thank you very much, Jake. Yep, cars lining up on the grid now ahead of race number 2 of the weekend. Josh Jackson and Jake Bailey start on row 1 because this grid is formed based on the way they finished the first race. So Sam Bailey and Richard Breland are on row 2 ahead of Jeremy Crook and Simon Fleet, then Patrick Collins and Simon Orange. Matt Pickford and Simon Woods round out the top 10 ahead of Ray Worley, then Russ Lindsay and George Grant, who tangled towards the end of race 1, with some scores to settle maybe. Then Jim Hart, Liz Walton and James Kell, who was a non-finisher from race 1. I fear actually James Kell may even be a non-starter for this one. At least he's not out there on the grid by the looks of it. The lights are out though, we are away and racing. I can actually see James Kell's car in the pit lane. Ray Worley, oh, what happened there? Drivers hitting the brakes as they accelerated up towards turn 1. Patrick Collins was one, Ray Worley another one. So someone must have, there must have been some contact or something in the middle of the pack, and several drivers had to slam on the brakes to avoid it. But that has really shuffled the pack in the middle of the grid. So we'll try and piece this all together as they make their way through the infield for the first time. At the head of the field, it's Jackson from Bailey from Breland, the top 3. So Sam Bailey is down to 4th, ahead of Simon Fleet 5th. There's Russ Lindsay, but Patrick Collins, one of the real losers there. Remember, Patrick finished the first race in 7th, but he's a bit further down the order than that now. But vice versa, of course, it's allowed a few other drivers who struggled in race 1 to gain a few positions. So already a more frenetic start to race 2 than we had in race 1. Side by side for the race lead, as well as Jake Bailey is already forcing Josh Jackson to defend as he tries to go right round the outside of Agostini. He's always going to get shown the edge of the road on the exit though, and so Josh Jackson hangs on to the race lead, and that will bring Richard Breland ever closer onto their tail. Simon Woods here we're on board with. Looking back at Simon Orange, it's strange in this series, isn't it? All of the Simons seem to find themselves together. Simon Fleet probably isn't far away from all of this. George Grant and Patrick Collins, the two cars behind Simon Orange, and in fact George Grant tried to go to the outside there into the right-hander at Oggies. That didn't work, and then he had to get back into line quick sharp before Patrick Collins was able to take advantage. Matt Pickford and Ray Worley, the two cars next in line behind them, as they sweep down onto the Bentley straight for the first time. Patrick Collins in the slipstream. Look there, you can really see visibly the effect that that toe has as he closes on George Grant, but Grant is also closing on Simon Orange, and they're going to go 3 abreast here down towards the left-hander at Brundle, and Patrick Collins sensibly backs out of it. George Grant doesn't though, and he will trade a bit of paint with Simon Orange, who's all over the place into the right-hander, and it could well be that Patrick Collins benefits from all of this anyway, because if these two take each other off, Collins it will be who gains the ground, but actually he's got Matt Pickford up the inside. What racing we're being treated to in here at the start of race number 2, as we have a change of lead. Jake Bailey has got himself ahead of Josh Jackson, so it is all going on here on this opening lap. Jake Bailey it is though who will lead the field across the start-finish line for the first time of asking in this one. Josh Jackson second and Richard Breland in third. Well, deep breath everyone, that's only 1 lap and we've got another 20-minute race on its way, so we're expecting about 9 laps of action that we should be able to fit in as they rush down towards Rich's corner once again. Richard Breland is now becoming the danger man for the early pace setter this year, Josh Jackson, as they make their way out towards Wilson. On board here with Patrick Collins again. We'll be getting some great on-board footage from him this weekend. But at the front of the field, I would say that Jake Bailey is actually starting to escape here from Jackson. Jackson falling ever further into the clutches of Breland, and as he has to defend, not only does that allow this man, Jake Bailey, to pull a bit of a lead, but it allows Sam Bailey, Jake's father, to close in 4th. So we had, actually for the first time this year, both of the Baileys on the podium together in race 1, didn't we? Because Jake was 2nd and Sam was 3rd. Well, it would be brilliant if we could get them both on the podium again. And oh no, Jake Bailey, what was I saying? Jake Bailey has thrown it all away down at Agostini. He's off a long way onto the grass, almost into the tyre wall, which takes some doing with the amount of runoff area in that part of the circuit. But Jake Bailey has thrown it all away from the race lead, and all of a sudden he's right down towards the back of the field. Well, Josh Jackson will be grinning like a Cheshire cat. Switchback manoeuvre is on here, maybe for Sam Bailey to get up the inside into Williams. He carries more speed off the corner. He's looking to the inside line. There's an overlap. There's a change in position because this time there's nothing Jeremy Crook can do. And Sam Bailey does go through. But look, exactly as I said, when they started swapping positions like that, it has held the whole group up. And Jake Bailey is back with them. So has he got time not only to get himself into the top 5, but possibly get himself back onto the podium, which you would never have guessed when we saw him spinning earlier on. Oh, problem for Sam Bailey though. Sam Bailey, having got to the front of the group, now falls right to the back of it, so there must be some sort of mechanical drama there as his son Jake Bailey takes full advantage, drives past his father and now gets himself up alongside Simon Fleet. He's on the outside into the bomb hole, but he turns in regardless. Beautiful stuff there from Jake Bailey. He's into the top 5. What about a podium? 1 more place to gain and he will find his way into 3rd position, and it will be a remarkable fight back given the way that his race started when he spun out from the race lead. Sam Bailey appears now to have found some speed, so either it was a missed gear down the pit straight, which is possible, or maybe he saw his son coming along and decided, do you know what, I'm not going to make life difficult for him, I'm going to just wave him on through and make his life a bit easier. We're on to the final lap of the race now, incidentally, so we have 1 lap left to try and get Jake Bailey onto the podium, 1 lap left for Simon Bailey, for Sam Bailey, excuse me, to try and get back into the top 5, which he does with that move that he just made on Simon Fleet into Riches. This is Matt Pickford meanwhile with Ray Worley closing in the slipstream as well across the start finish line. Thought about going to the inside, then decided the outside was the only option that would become available to him. But as we rejoin them again through the corner, well, some strange lines being taken there, and actually Russ Lindsay is the one who's going to be able to close in, but Russ will not want a repeat of his last lap contact that he had with George Grant in race 1, so how aggressive he'll be on the last lap, I'm not too sure. Oh, as we're side by side for 3rd place, Jake Bailey up the inside here in towards Agostini, and you would imagine he'll be able to make this one stick. Jake Bailey runs a bit deep into the corner. That was cheeky stuff there, just to try and stop Jeremy Crook from getting the switch back on him, and so Jake Bailey, remarkably, having fallen outside the top 10 again with an early spin, is now back onto the podium. At the head of the field, though, it is a double race victory for Josh Jackson. Richard Breland kept him honest in second place, and Jake Bailey recovers to a remarkable third. Jeremy Crook is fourth ahead of Simon Fleet fifth. Sam Bailey dropped to sixth late on ahead of Patrick Collins, Simon Orange, George Grant and Simon Woods. Then Ray Worley, Matt Pickford, Russ Lindsay, Jim Hart. James Kell was 15th, so he did get out there, and Liz Walton wasn't quite a lap down, but she is down in 16th place.
Josh Jackson, another fantastic day at the office and another brilliant win. Talk us through the race.
Yeah, no, it's going well. Got a better start this time, so made sure of that. And then Jake got in front of me. I think he had a little issue with the brakes and managed to go straight on. So then after that, it was just trying to control the race, but we seem to be struggling a little bit. So I'll have a look at the car and see what we can do for race 3.
Well, Richard, second in the overall rankings, Masters winner as well, but it was quite hectic out there, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, I got a really good start, and then I was following Jake and Josh, and unfortunately Jake, who's my teammate, he went off. So it just left me and Josh, really. And I got my head down and I tried to chase him down, but I mean, Josh is quick. So, but yeah, hopefully for the last race we'll get up there again.
Well, time for our third and final race from the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Super Series. For the first 3 on the grid from race 3, well, refer to the results from race 2. We've got Josh Jackson and Richard Breland there on the front row of the grid, with the 18-year-old Jake Bailey on the second row of the grid. But alongside him is the nearly man of this weekend, who has come so close to a victory already this weekend, Jeremy Crook. It's been an interesting and exciting one for you this weekend, hasn't it?
Fab weekend, absolutely fab weekend. Probably the best weekends racing I've had so far. So, yeah, really good. Really good. It would be nice if one of those top 3 took each other out, I think, but we'll sit behind them and see what happens.
Well,
yeah.
I can feel some rain in the air, so maybe that might be your chance.
It may well be. Ex-rally man, so I'm good at going sideways.
Fantastic. Well, we'll see how you get on. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. That's going to be interesting to watch, I think, isn't it? To see how Jeremy Crook gets on. He will line up 4th, as Jake was saying. We start this third race the way in which we finished race 2. So it's Jackson, Breland, Bailey and Crook, then Simon Fleet and Sam Bailey ahead of Patrick Collins and Simon Orange on row number 4. Row 5 for George Grant and Simon Woods. Row 6, Ray Worley and Matt Pickford ahead of Russ Lindsay, Jim Hart, James Kell and Liz Walton at the tail end of the field. But a few stories to watch out for here. Jeremy Crook, as we said, desperate to get himself onto the podium. Jake Bailey, desperate to make amends for his off in race 2. But we're away racing for the final time this weekend. And we're on board again with Patrick Collins looking back at some very close quarters action there. George Grant up the inside. And I think George is going to make that move stick. But here we go, Richard Breland trying to go around the outside for the race lead. Don't think he's going to make that one stick as the field pours its way down in towards the first corner at Richards. Matt Pickford there around the outside of Patrick Collins, but again that's not likely to work. Here comes Jake Bailey trying to get himself ahead of Richard Breland and latch onto the coattails of Josh Jackson before Josh can make any sort of escape at the front of the field. Bailey will be kicking himself still, I'm sure, after throwing away what looked like a promising chance of a race 2 victory. He's back into second place now here at the start of race 3. George Grant up the inside of Simon Orange, leads on him maybe slightly. Simon just gets out onto the dirty part of the road, which also gets him sideways. It helps them hold them both up, and so Patrick Collins will now be able to close in and maybe make it 3 abreast into braking. No, that was never likely to work. So George Grant with a bit of a lock-up on the inside goes through. Look at this 2 and 3 wide action behind. Ray Worley there racing with Simon Woods. We've got Jim Hart, Russ Lindsay and James Kell, who we haven't seen that much of because he started from the pit lane in the last race and had a 10-second penalty applied at the start of race 1, so we haven't really seen him a factor in the midfield squabbles yet. Hopefully race 3 will go his way and we'll get to see a bit more of him racing his way through the order. Back here at Simon Orange there from on board with Patrick Collins. They turn their way into the right-hander at Williams. Matt Pickford behind, really a bit wide, I noticed. That might leave him susceptible to attack from the group of cars behind. But the leaders make their way in towards the complex for the first time. And look at Jake Bailey trying to find a way past Josh Jackson. Remember, last time out at Brands Hatch, we saw the first 2 races won by Jackson, but Bailey was able to take victory in race 3. So can he do the same thing again here this weekend? Looking back at Jeremy Crook there, he has not had the start that he might have anticipated because Sam Bailey's gone past him and Simon Fleet is closing in behind. So he is down to 5th position now. Here is Patrick Collins looking at the inside of George Grant. George tried to squeeze him into the inside of the track there, but Patrick Collins was coming through. George, I think, will now be able to slot into line and avoid losing another place there to the next group of cars behind. Leaders, though, back across the start finish line. Look at Jake Bailey pulling out of the slipstream immediately here to try and get himself ahead of Josh Jackson. I speculated in race 1 that maybe Jake had been happy to just follow Josh Jackson around to the last lap, but that is not the case in this race, because he's made a spectacular move, has he, around the outside of Ridges. I thought he might have made it stick, but Jackson was maybe coming back at him on the run down towards the Wilson hairpin. Meanwhile, Simon Woods and Simon Orange are side by side. Matt Pickford going up the inside, and they're 3 abreast into the corner. And so Josh Jackson, as the new race leader, is the guinea pig. He arrives at each corner not knowing quite what the grip levels are going to be like, whereas Jake Bailey, running behind him, could sort of gauge from how Josh Jackson is getting through the corner whether or not he can go a little bit quicker. And so in some ways, when the rain starts coming down, particularly this light rain that's just making the track a little bit greasy in places, it's sometimes an advantage to be the car second in line, because you get that split-second extra reaction time if you arrive at a corner that's particularly slippery. Down the back straight we go. I believe we are on the final lap of the race, and so Jake Bailey is going to be working double time to try and find a way through. He looks to the inside into Brundle and goes through. Jake Bailey goes through, but he can't make the corner. Oh, that's why the hand was out of the cop, but he rejoins the track right in front of Jackson. Oh, well, that was dramatic stuff, and he did it all one-handed as well. He was up the inside, but he was so late on the brakes, he realised immediately that he couldn't make the corner. Hand came straight out of the cockpit to warn Josh Jackson to get out of his way, because Jake was going to have to take to the grass. And so in the end, it is Josh Jackson who will recover the race lead. It's been a dramatic race, this one, by far the most entertaining as far as the lead battle has been concerned, but it is going to be the first ever trio of race wins, a hat-trick of race wins here at Snetterton. 3 race wins from 3 for Josh Jackson. He takes the victory from Jake Bailey in second, Richard Breland in third, then Jeremy Crook and Sam Bailey back in the top 5. Simon Fleet, Simon Orange, Patrick Collins, James Kell is 9th. Look at that, good result for him, ahead of Ray Worley 10th. Then it's George Grant, Simon Woods, Russ Lindsay. They all had dramas late on, ahead of Jim Hart, Matt Pickford, and Liz Walton gets to the finish, but 1 lap down.
Well, Josh, that is the perfect result, the hat-trick, but it was looking quite tough to get there at one point.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't easy. Jake done really well. So yeah, no, I was happy to do it. Couldn't quite manage it at Brands, but it's nice to do it here.
Well, Jake, second position, but I think for a long time you're going to be thinking that was the one that got away. What happened to the closing stages?
Yeah, I thought it was mine, but yeah, clearly wasn't to be. It's Josh's weekend this weekend, so well done to him.
Well, Richard, all in all, a good weekend and another piece of silverware to take home. That's not bad for you and the team.
No, very, very happy with that. 2 podiums today, really, really good. You know, second and the third. The team did really well. Blink Motorsport set the cars up, and really happy with that. A little bit cautious in that last race when the rain came down, but no, it was good. Couldn't keep up with the front 2, but had a good race.
Well, it's been a great weekend here at Snetterton in the Super Series, and a hat-trick of victories for Josh Jackson takes him into a 7-week break going to Cadwell Park. Can anybody steal the top of the dais from him there? You'll have to tune in to find out.